while our group essentially does electricity planning research, with the smart grid and the dynamic supplies and demands, we're not just assessing the characteristics of the technology. The value of a new technology or a new operating procedure is how it captures the value of the technologies in the context of the whole system. And so electricity storage is a great example. I can't tell you the cost effectiveness or value of electricity storage until I know the gap I'm trying to bridge by charging the battery overnight with wind or geothermal here and supplying the electricity back to the grid the next afternoon, avoiding turning on and running a diesel generator for 3 or 4 hours. In the last several years, there's been a lot of activity in the areas of smart meters, and that's essentially trying to really do two things. Having families understand where and when they use electricity, and if they've left the lights on or the cable box is running too warm, and can you turn that off. It's also of strong value to the grid to understand that if something's happening on the grid that day, it's a heat wave or some big power plant has needed to shut down, there's a way to signal consumers to essentially reduce or shift their generation. And that way you avoid building extra power plants and things. So it's actually rather important. It also helps the grid run smoother if you can do this on a day-to-day basis, not just an emergency basis. And so the smart meter is sort of the enabling technology there. Now, smart meters can be many different things. There's some that aren't too smart and some that are probably too smart for their own good. But that's part of the design process. And of course, one smart meter doesn't do you any good. You sort of need, one family in 5 to have a smart meter, or 3 families out of 4 in the long term to have smart meters, to essentially capture the value to both the household as well as the power network. The most fun we have on a day-to-day basis is getting into the detailed data of where and when we use electricity. Because you want to design not just for the averages, but design for the dynamics. And so making sure we have enough energy is important, but making sure we have it at the critical times of the day or the critical times of the year. Electricity for air conditioning during a heat wave, making sure that the natural gas flows during a cold snap. That's very important, not just the average stuff, because that's the medical analogy I use is when you have a problem, you want the MRI. You don't want the X-ray, let alone a stethoscope, in your doctor's toolkit. And so we're trying to develop these high-resolution, targeted solutions to energy, and it's not just the technology, but it's where and when we have the supply and where and when we need the electricity or transportation fuel